Now, a lot of you know this day called Blue Monday. And you'll see this picture on the screen, and it's a day that doesn't get talked about enough. It's called Blue Monday, and it's actually the third Monday in January, and it happens every year, and it's considered to be the most depressing day of the year. And that's due to a variety of factors, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. You've got a lack of light, it's cold, you got no holidays to look forward to, Christmas is over. It's a very bleak period. And that Monday is that Monday where you maybe have to face a week ahead at work, or even worse, working from home. And it's one of the most difficult days of the year. And it's actually only days away from when I speak right now. It's a very difficult time where we're all feeling depressed. And I was at home the other night after we put in a hard day here at London Real and Brian from Air. And I was speaking with my wife, Mariana, who is an incredible, positive, bubbly woman. I still remember the first time I met her on Old Bond Street at Dolce & Gabbana, where she was working. And she was just this bubbling over being of positive energy, just all smiles and all positive attitudes. And, she was doing this as a single mother, struggling. So she's a very positive person. And she was saying, it's very hard right now with mental health. She says, I can't go to the theater. I can't see my friends. I can't take the boys out, to places I want to go. I got to catch myself every now and then because this is real and depression is real. And so I appreciate her being honest with me, and I hope she doesn't mind that I share this with you all today, because this is real. And you could be the strongest person out there. You could be the most positive person in the world, but this will get to you. By our last comment, that gentleman that made the last comment. It's hard. Sometimes I catch myself just even for a split second thinking, man, this is a dark day. It's cold outside. It's rough outside, and our government's putting us into another lockdown and closing people's businesses down and shutting down people's lives, and our kids can't go to school. And imagine what the 9 million citizens of my city are suffering from. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. And so I think we need to talk about it because we are facing a mental health crisis. And according to the ONS, which is the Office of National Statistics, depression in this country has doubled. And you can see this headline here from the Express and Star. Depression has doubled during the pandemic. These are measured from February pre-COVID lockdown days. And these are the current stats. And pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because, it's going to be hard for me even to say to you right now. Almost 1 in 5 adults in the UK, that's 19.2% of you and me, are currently experiencing some form of depression right now. And please type in the comments right now and tell me if that's you. Tell me right now. Tell me if it's you. Tell me your name, say yes, or tell me what you're going through right now. I really want to hear from you. That is a sobering statistic. 1 in 5 people out there is suffering from some type of depression. And that is up from 9.7%, which was more like 1 in 10 people back in February before the pandemic. That is a massive, massive increase, and it has dangerous, dangerous effects. Let's look at some of those. Eating disorders, very tragic. Beat, which is a charity for people with eating disorders in the UK, has seen a 73% surge in people accessing them for help. And you can see this headline here from the BBC News going up here on the screen, and you see it. Coronavirus, living with eating disorders in lockdown. This is real, and this is only one of the many reasons or any effects of our mental health. And the truth is this, it's the increased time spent with family, the lack of gym facilities, which I want to talk about with Nick Wincombe, and an upset to the routine that is intensifying these eating disorder issues. But it gets worse. The crisis is hitting our young people the hardest. And you can see by this headline here, and again, this is hard to watch and hard to read, but we see a doubling in the number of urgent referrals for children with eating disorders. You can see this sharp rise in the number of children in England seeking help for eating disorders. That's by The Guardian itself. But it gets worse. Anxiety, loneliness, panic, and hopelessness. And please type in the chat right now and tell me if you're suffering from this, and tell me about it. Maybe you need someone to talk to. Maybe you've got no one to talk to. I'm here. So please type in the chat. Let's talk about this right now. We need to talk about it more. And when I tell you about some of these statistics, they're, again, very hard to listen to, but we all know it's real because we're all feeling this out there. And I'll put these up on the screen right now as I read them off. And these are the real facts. And again, this is hard to watch. 49%, which is half of the population in the UK, has felt anxious during the lockdown. 1 in 2 people. 21%, or more than 1 in 5 people, have felt lonely. 70%, or 1 in 6 people, have felt hopeless during the lockdown. And 12%, that's 1 in 8 people, have felt panicked during the lockdown. Look at those numbers. Those are very hard to believe. But it gets much worse, and this is suicide. Suicide is something tragic. It's something very hard to talk about. We just saw a comment coming through about that. It's a very, very hard thing to deal with and process because we all feel responsible. And here's a quote by one of our members of our London ambulance service. This came from October 28th, 2020, so just less than 3 months ago. And it said this, and I quote, this comes from our London ambulance service. And they say, quote, sadly, the number of suicide and attempted suicide incidents we attend are increasing. And wait for these numbers. Our crews now attend an average of 37 suicides or attempted suicides per day, compared to 22 in 2019 and 17 5 years ago. 17 5 years ago to 37 per day. Does that sound acceptable? Does that sound worth the price of a lockdown? These are shocking numbers indeed. And Samaritans, which is the largest mental health charity here in the UK, describing the trend, particularly amongst young people, as quote unquote extremely worrying. And let me show some of the statistics that they have published. 10% is the proportion of people who have experienced suicidal thoughts. 19% of young people were more likely to report suicidal thoughts, and 21%, that's 1 in 5 unemployed people, reported suicidal thoughts. And again, that's a telling statistic right there. If you're unemployed, it doubles the chance of you having suicidal thoughts. Are you starting to see the connection here? Are you starting to see the connection? Lower economic output, lower employment, higher unemployment, worse mental health, more suicide thoughts. It's all linked, and you can see it here. And yet, your politicians don't talk about this every day. They show you the daily number. They put that in your face and say it's time to lock down because of this number over here. They're not talking about the long-term lives lost, the long-term mental health issues that we are experiencing right now.